All right, guys, for you guys that haven't seen, the cab is off of the short box truck, and I just got maybe another hour's worth of work to do, get some wiring and the brake booster and the headliner out of it, and then it'll be going next door to Mr. Neil. But I was just getting ready to put the fuel tank in, or I put the fuel tank in, just one strap on it here for now. Run into a problem. So I measured the frame and all that jazz. Oh, that's fine. But something that I did not take into consideration is this cross member needs to be right here. So I'm not sure. I think I'm just going to cut the rivets off of this one and move it forwards, and I'll just drill holes and put bolts in it, I think is what I'm going to do, because it's literally just those two rivets, move it forwards. Or, which I'm not 100% sure of, I'm gonna try doing that one first probably. But the one on this truck, as you can see, I never paid attention to it, is in front of that cross member. That one is behind the cross member. Actually, you can see where the hole, I think that's where the holes are for it. But anyways, this one sits on the hump, and then it's on an angle. Like this piece is taller than this piece. So I might take that one out and put it into this frame, because that one's taller, but I don't want to have a problem with it touching the cab on the bottom, because I don't want to lift the body at all. If I had to lift a 1/4 inch, okay, that wouldn't be an end of the world, but I don't want to really lift it at all. So not a huge deal, but it's just something you run into when you're doing this type of stuff. It was just something I overlooked. And if I was perfect, I probably would have been doing this 10 years ago. Anyways, so I wanted to get the tank sitting in there, because that's where the tank is going to sit. I just have to move this cross member, which won't take me that long, maybe 45 minutes. Cut those rivets off. I'll hammer the rivets out, get bolts in there. Probably just use a 3/8 bolt or something, or a 7/16 bolt. No big deal. Won't take that long to do it. So, but the reason I wanted to do, and there is actually a bit of space. I'm not 100% sure if this is where it's going to end up. I have the fuel pump, and we have 2 fuel filters to put in. So I have to figure out where we're going to put the fuel filter. So I'm going to put a sump in it, but I'm going to use a draw straw that draws out of the sump is what I'm going to do. So I think the sump will probably be right here. So our feed and return will come out of here, and then the lines will probably just loop down and through there and go across. But we need to get the pre-filter, which I think the pre-filter is probably going to be right here. The pump will be right below it, or vice versa. And then the actual fuel filter itself, I'm not just 100% sure where it's going to end up. I don't know if I'm going to maybe come back around this way and put it up here maybe, or if it's going to go farther up. But there's not going to be there's not a whole lot of room up here. By the time you get, I still got to get the throttle linkage in here. The starter has to go in there. The dipstick tube is going to come up and around here. There really isn't a lot of room there. And obviously without the cab and the fenders, and then also taking consideration your brake booster is going to be literally right here. So there's not a lot of room. Well, I shouldn't say that. There is room, just there isn't going to be a lot of accessible room. And I want the filters to be accessible, or filter, because the pre-filter is just a screen style filter, so you don't have to maybe once a year take it apart and clean it. But the other one is just going to be a spin-on cat style kind of filter, which I might just put maybe right in here or something, so then the lines can come. I'm probably going to do a bulkhead. I'll do a bulkhead through the frame, come to the filter, and then, or come to the filter, and then it'll come back out of the filter, and then come up across the frame, or another bulkhead through, or I don't know, something like that, because it'd be nice to put the filter here, but the drive shaft's right there, so I don't think that's going to be a feasible thing either. Is what it is for now. But that kind of gives you guys an idea. I'll do a video this week soon as I got to get the rest of that ripped apart. I'm not going to bore you guys with ripping the rest of that part. There's like an hour, probably an hour left, and maybe a little bit of, I'm probably going to power wash off the bottom or something before I take it over to Neil. But other than that, there isn't a huge amount of work on my part anyway, to get that thing ready. Neil's got a bunch of work to do to it. Obviously, he's the one painting it. So, and I'm going to get him to come over and look and see what he wants me to take off, what he doesn't want me to take off. So we'll see what I have to strip off. But this week we will be getting, I'm going to get the fuel tank finish mounted in. We'll get that cross member moved. We're going to get the lift pump mounted in there. So we'll have to make a bracket for it to go on. So there'll be the fast unit, the pre-filter, maybe the regular filter, not just 100% sure, maybe in this area, or maybe the other filter will come across here or something, I'm not sure. And then we'll get, I think all I'm going to do is I'm just going to bring it up to here. We'll solid mount it here, and then it'll come off of there with a you know, chunk of hose, or you know, a piece of flex, because this isn't the one I'm going to use, I don't think, but this is the kind of idea that would go on there, kind of idea. I don't think I'm going to use that one anyway, because it doesn't go with any of the stuff that's on the truck. There's no blue, there's no red. So it kind of sticks out like a sore thumb. I guess I could paint it, but yeah, anyways, that's what we're going to be doing on this baby. And I got to get the, really, that's, you know, when we get that done, the drive shaft is over at Corey's. He's not able to, or going to be over at Corey's. It's actually sitting right there. He's going to chop it down for me. He just doesn't have time to do a video. It takes a little bit of a production, you know, to do it. Anyways, we'll do another video later on doing drive shaft. So I'm gonna get the drive shaft done. We got to get the fuel lines in, the brake line from front to back. And then I'm going to, there again, the brake line, I'm going to bring it up. It'll have a block, so it'll go from there. And then I think I'm just going to go flexible line from there up to the master cylinder, just so I can get the brake lines all run and not have to worry about any of that being wrong. Yeah, it's probably going to cost me a little bit more, but whatever. That's an extra $50 when you're building something like this. Isn't going to make or break it, in my opinion anyway. Yeah, so we'll get a bunch of stuff done on this week. I'm hoping to have the, I just got to finish putting the brakes on. We're going to plumb the brake lines, fuel pump. I'm not going to wire it yet, but, and yeah, it won't be long. As soon as the cab is done, the cab's going to get put on. I'm going to get the dash that I'm using in it and the wiring harness that I'm using in it, because I think it's going to be different. I actually didn't realize something that I missed. I was told this truck was a 95. It is not a 95. It is a 96, which, whatever, doesn't really make that much difference. But I have to, originally I wasn't sure if I was going to have to, but I think I'm going to have to change all of the wiring, because the dash that I have is for a 94, which the plugs are different. I believe some of the plugs are different. So I'm thinking that likely I'm going to have to do a little bit more work as far as wiring and that type of stuff goes, which is an end of the world. I think I have a complete wiring harness from one of these trucks. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use that complete wiring harness and then the older dash. Just for simplicity's sake, everything will go right in. It'll bolt in. I won't have to reinvent the wheel and anything. It'll just work. I think that's what we're going to do. Just because I don't want to get hacking at a bunch of stuff. I just want to rewrap the wiring. As long as it's, you know, anything that's janky, I'll fix. Rewrap the wiring, put everything together, get everything working. Something else. Oh, there's the fenders off of the truck. I'm not sure whether we're taking the fenders over right away, because it's really easy to put the doors on with the fenders off. So I think that likely we're going to paint the doors and the fenders at the same time. And I'm not sure when he wants to do the box, because the big parts are the hard part. They're now coming into the point where their busy time is like coming upon us pretty quick, because in the wintertime is their busy time because people get into accidents. So the cab's going over first, because the cab needs to be done so that I can do all the wiring and everything. And I think then if he has space, then we're going to send the box over, and then we'll do the doors, fenders, and hood at that point. I did order, we're putting a sport front end on the truck. I did talk about this before, but we're putting a sport front end on it. I have to figure out what I'm going to do for the sport front end, because I do not have one that's minty. So I think I'm going to buy a new cover and put that onto the frame that I have. I think. But anyways, if I could find a really nice frame around here, I would buy the frame or a whole bumper, but they're crazy expensive. I'm not paying $700-800 for a used bumper and a used bumper and frame that's not like, it would have to be absolutely perfect, in my opinion. You know, for let's say $800 to $900, I can buy everything brand new. So it doesn't make sense to me to buy one for $700 when I can buy everything brand new, or the parts I need brand new. I shouldn't say everything brand new, the parts I need brand new. I did buy because we'll be doing away with that black piece of cross. I don't even think we're going to use that tailgate. I have a better tailgate. But that black piece is going to go across the bottom. But I just ordered today a roll pan for it. So we're going to wanted to put a roll pan on it regardless. And then we'll put the roll pan on there. I believe they bolt on, not 100% sure, but they are steel. I'm going to put a hitch on this as well. So we'll have to build the hitch for putting it on so that it actually tucks up underneath. You can buy them, but they're like $500. I'm not spending $500 on one. I can build one for way less money than that. I got to get my plasma cutter table cleaned off and set back up because I'm going to need that to cut brackets and stuff. For the traction bars on this thing, a couple of little brackets that I want to build, just the one-off stuff. And then when we do the rear end swap in the first gen, as we're taking the rear end out of the first gen, putting that in this, and then the first gen will get a different differential. Not sure what it's getting yet. I actually shouldn't say that. I found a Dana 60 in town that's been narrowed, but the guy hasn't got back to me yet on what it's got for gears, what it's got for spline for axles, what the full width is, all that stuff. If it doesn't have a spool in it, that type of stuff. If he does come back and it's something decent, maybe I'll buy that because it's considerably cheaper to do that if it's in decent shape than it is to build a new one. So I don't know, we'll see. I like to build the stuff myself, but if it's the guy's asking $2,000 for the rear end, if it has a spool in it, if it has, let's say 40 splined axles in it, there's $2,000 right there, or close to $2,000 Canadian. Right in those two things. So if it's got the right gear in it, it's got a spool or a decent locker in it, that's more than what it would cost to buy just a couple of the pieces to build the rear end. So anyways, that's what I got going on. Check out my other videos. You can check out the video for that probably a couple days after this one drops because this one is going to be a much shorter one to edit. And check out all my other videos. We got P-Pump 6.7 build. We got the 12 valve rebuild series. We got all kinds of cool stuff on the channel. So check out all my other stuff. And remember, it's not rocket science.